So, a few days ago, the White House announced a brand new Peace Council, and its first job is supposedly to tackle the crisis in Gaza. But honestly, the announcement itself has just created this huge storm of confusion, a ton of controversy, and some really big billion-dollar questions. Today, we're going to break down what this council is and why it's already being called a massive gamble for the future of global diplomacy. Okay, let's just dive right in. And the best place to start is with the one thing pretty much everyone seems to agree on. Nobody really knows what's going on. This quote from an analyst on the ground, well, it sums up the whole situation perfectly. The announcement has just created a total fog of confusion.
All right, Section 1, a confusing announcement. And the confusion? It kicked off right away with the structure itself, or maybe the lack of one. Instead of just a single clear council, the world got introduced to this tangled web of new groups.
I mean, just look at this list. It gives you a real sense of the chaos we're talking about. You've got the main peace council, then an executive council, then advisors, a military force, and even a committee for specific details. It's so convoluted you have to wonder if this complexity is intentional, a way to avoid accountability, or if it's just really poor planning. Either way, it's not at all clear who is in charge of what. And it's not just the structure, The language they're using is also raising some major red flags. One of the figures was named the second representative. Now, for Palestinians, that title is a really painful echo of the British Mandate, a period of foreign rule that led to their displacement. It's a historically loaded term that, to many, suggests a return to an era of outside control.
Section 2, the billion-dollar club. Now, let's follow the money, because this is where things get, really controversial. Turns out, if you want a seat at this table, you've got to pay. And you've got to pay a lot. From what we can piece together, there seem to be two tiers. You have your temporary membership, which lasts for 3 years. But then you have the permanent seat. And that's a whole different ballgame. It's basically a pay-to-play model. And here it is, the price tag. For a permanent seat on the council, a country is expected to pay $1 billion. Now, to put that into perspective, this isn't a donation or a contribution. We're talking about a fee for influence. It's creating a pay-to-play system at what's supposed to be the highest level of international diplomacy.
So, what's the big takeaway here? The philosophy behind this whole council seems to boil down to a core idea from the Trump administration. Nothing is free. If you want a permanent voice in this new global body, you better be willing to pay up.
Okay. Section 3, arrival to the UN. All of this, the pay-to-play model, the permanent president, it begs a huge question, right? Is this whole thing designed to be a direct competitor to the United Nations?
And you have to remember, this isn't happening in a vacuum. This move follows a really clear pattern of skepticism towards established international groups. The administration has already pulled the U.S. out of dozens of global organizations, which is why so many analysts believe this is a deliberate attempt to build a parallel power structure.
And this table, man, it just lays it all out crystal clear. Take a look at leadership. The UN rotates its presidency every month to make sure no single country gets too much power. This new council, it has a permanent president. The UN was founded by an international treaty after World War II. This council was created by an announcement. And maybe most important, UN membership is based on global standing and elections. Here, it's based on your ability to write a billion-dollar check.
Section 4, the Gaza connection. So why? Why go through all this trouble, this complicated, super expensive new council? Well, it all seems to point to one place, Gaza. This isn't just its first mission, it's the whole reason it was created.
So for Gaza, they seem to have set up their own two-tiered structure. You've got the Global Peace Council way up at the top, but then there's a special branch, the Executive Constituent Council, and that's the group that's actually supposed to get things done on the ground. So what does this Executive Council actually do? Well, its job is to manage a 20-point plan for Gaza. And here's the key thing. It's not going to be working with the existing Palestinian political leadership. Nope. Instead, it's partnering with a whole new committee of so-called technocrats, unelected experts in fields like engineering and finance. The goal here seems to be to just bypass the political process entirely. And then there's this. This is a really key and, a very controversial piece of the puzzle. The plan calls for an American-led military stability force. Its official purpose is to oversee the withdrawal of Israeli forces and to, quote, manage the weapons held by various resistance factions. So you take all of this, the confusing structure, the billion-dollar price tag, this direct challenge to the UN, and it all leads to one single point of failure. Or success. It all comes down to the Council's very first test.
And really, why all of this matters is actually pretty simple. Gaza isn't just the Council's first big test, it's the entire reason this thing was even created. The fate of this whole ambitious project really hinges on whether or not it can produce actual, tangible results in one of the world's most complex and heartbreaking conflicts.
So after all the smoke and mirrors, after all the announcements and the speculation, we're left with the one question that really, truly matters. Will this new, unconventional, and very expensive structure actually succeed in ending the occupation and beginning the long, painful process of reconstruction? The answer to that question is going to define not just the future of this council, but the future for millions of people.